Have you spent your entire life being told that your sensitivity is some kind of weakness? Something you just have to get over? Well, what if that's completely wrong? Today, we're going to dive into the science that shows your sensitivity isn't a flaw at all. In fact, it might just be a secret superpower.
Yeah, that phrase probably sounds familiar, doesn't it? I bet you've heard it 1,000 times. Toughen up. Don't take things so personally. You've probably even found yourself apologizing for your own feelings. That is a heavy, heavy label to carry around.
But here's a crazy thought. What if that diagnosis you've been handed your whole life is just wrong? What if there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, and the way you experience the world is not only okay, but actually pretty valuable? So let's start by ditching those old negative labels. You're not too sensitive. A much better way to think about it, one that actually lines up with your biology, is that you're a super sensor. This isn't about being fragile, it's about having a high-performance sensory system.
Here's an analogy that might help. Think of it like this. Most people are walking around experiencing the world in standard definition. It's efficient, it's fine, it gets the job done. But your brain is recording in stunning, high-resolution 8K. It's capturing everything, the tiny details, the subtle beauty, the patterns that everyone else just walks right past.
And here's the thing. You are definitely not alone. This isn't just some personality quirk. It's a real biological trait. Research shows that about 1 in 5 people, that's 20% of the population, has this kind of high-resolution processing. So that feeling you've had of being different, it's real, and it's actually baked right into your neurology.
So let's pop the hood and look at the hardware. What is actually going on inside the brain of a super sensor? Well, it turns out science has pinpointed 3 specific neurological upgrades that explain why life can feel so intense.
Okay, the first upgrade is something neuroscientists call low latent inhibition. Now, that sounds super complex, but the idea behind it is fascinating. See, most brains are wired to save energy by just ignoring stuff they decide is irrelevant background noise. But your brain, it's like your background filters just switched off. You're processing the hum of the overhead lights, the texture of the fabric on your chair, that tiny, subtle shift in your friend's mood, all at the same time. This is exactly why you can get overwhelmed so easily, but it's also why you're the one who notices the brilliant solutions that are completely invisible to everyone else. Next up, you've got hyperactive mirror neurons. These are the amazing little brain cells that let us feel empathy. But for a super sensor, these neurons are basically working overtime. You don't just see that a friend is sad, your brain literally simulates their sadness inside your own body. You feel it. Think about what that means. You're essentially an emotional sponge in a world that is just full of emotional spills. So no, it is not your imagination. You really are absorbing the emotional states of the people around you. And yeah, that can be exhausting, but it's also what gives you this incredible, profound capacity for connection.
And the third feature is what's called depth of processing. This is the one that so often gets mislabeled as overthinking. It's this tendency you have to pause and really analyze new information, connecting it to everything you've ever experienced and all the possible future outcomes.
So when you pause before making a decision, you're not being slow or indecisive. Not at all. Your brain is busy running a highly complex simulation to find the absolute best path forward. While other people are just reacting, you're performing a kind of high-level computation. It's a feature, not a bug. Okay, so you might be thinking, if this trait makes modern life so tricky, why on earth did it survive evolution? I mean, if it were truly a weakness, you'd think natural selection would have weeded it out thousands of years ago. But it didn't. And there's a really good reason why.
Evolution kept this trait around because every successful tribe needed 2 types of people, warriors and royal advisors. The warriors, the non-sensitive majority, were bold, they were the risk takers. But the advisors, the super sensors, they were the tribe's early warning system. They were the ones who could sense the weather was about to turn or who noticed the subtle signs of danger up ahead. The tribe needed that caution to balance out the warrior's impulse.
So how do you take this ancient superpower and actually thrive in our modern world? A world that's loud and fast and pretty much built for warriors. Well, it's not about trying to become tougher. It's about creating the right environment for your amazing trait to flourish.
Scientists actually have this beautiful metaphor for it. They say most people are like dandelions. They're resilient, they can pretty much survive anywhere. But you're an orchid. In a harsh environment like a crack in the sidewalk, you're going to struggle.
But in the right environment, a greenhouse, you don't just survive, you bloom with a kind of beauty and complexity the dandelion could never even dream of.
So how do you build your own personal greenhouse? It really comes down to 3 key things. First, you have to protect your gift by actually seeing it as a gift. Second, you've got to build strong boundaries to manage all that sensory and emotional information coming at you. And third, and this is a big one, you have to honor your need for silence and downtime. You need it to process and recharge.
Okay, let's bring all of this home with one final reframe. Because in the end, it all comes back to how you choose to see yourself and your unique, powerful way of processing the world.
Please stop trying to change your fundamental wiring. You can't just install a tougher filter. And honestly, you shouldn't even want to. A world that seems to be getting more and more numb and disconnected every day doesn't need another person with thicker skin. It needs you. It needs your sensitivity, exactly as you are.
So the next time someone has the nerve to call you too sensitive, just remember the truth. You're not seeing the world incorrectly, you're just seeing it in 8K. And in a world that often praises being disconnected, your profound ability to feel isn't a burden. It's the very thing that makes you human. It's your superpower.